Hi, everybody. This is Karen Ashcraft with Southwest Sales, and today we are joined by two wonderful guests. Well, actually three. Danelle Howard from Southwest Sales is also with us, and Ellie and Saima are here. So I'm going to pass it off to them and let them tell you a little bit about their business. Ellie?
Hi, thanks for having me on today. My name's Ellie Visconte, and I own Ellie Construction and Design. I am a designer as well as a graduate master builder. My company focuses on building, new construction, remodels, and interior design residential.
And Saima?
Hello, I'm Saima Seyer, and I have a residential and commercial design firm, and we focus all over the world and design on commercial boutique style, high-end residential. I'm also a CST, which is a chapter support team member for ASID nationally. So I'm very involved with that, along with a few other nonprofits like Houston Furniture Bank that helps people with their furnishings in their homes. So a lot of different aspects of design, I would say, and people's lives.
How would you guys say that you're diversifying or having to change your business up during this time of pandemic?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of my business is remodels. And so a lot of the ones that I had already slated to start, we'd worked through the design phase already and we were getting ready to go into construction. A lot of those have been put on hold because while construction is still deemed essential, people don't necessarily want people in their homes at this time. So if it's a remodel that's for a bathroom or a kitchen, those have all been put on hold. So I'm pivoting and working more with B2B, so working with more custom home builders and offering my services directly to the builder as well, more so. I always do that as far as speccing for the builders, but also now offering kind of Kelly Girl services for the building industry per se, because a lot of the builders have also had to maybe lay off superintendents or shift their workforce, or they have people that have fallen ill or can't get there. And so kind of just offering my services back to the builders as well and focusing on that market.
Go ahead, Saima.
All right. So as far as diversifying on my end, we have always been working remotely a majority of the time anyhow, so it hasn't been that much of an issue to change our way of doing things. We work on so many things via, FaceTime or Skype or, Dropbox cloud systems, anyhow. So I use things like WhatsApp when I'm traveling overseas, and it has the ability to do video chatting and phone calls, etc., along with the texting. I have always been able to work with my clients, and so the one good thing is that now my clients are more open to all the different variations where they might have been a little hesitant before. We usually had them, we would help set up the system so that they weren't, unfamiliar or a little shy about using these tech-friendly, apps, etc. For us, just like Ellie said, we've had clients who were about to start on a project, whether it was brand new or remodeling, and they were like, we need to wait now because we need to see what the stock market's doing. Not necessarily about, as much as people coming into the home, which that is an issue, but a lot of it has to do with, how is the market going internationally? What's going to happen? I think a lot of outside factors are also coming into this construction thing that usually all of us don't think about. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I do work with a lot of luxury and commercial along with high-end residential. Those factors aren't something we as designers or architects, builders think of sometimes.
So we're all working from home now. I think everybody's kind of figuring that whole part out. One of the big questions we're looking at is when we come out of this, how do you see the home office space changing when this pandemic is over?
I see it changing in the sense that more people are going to be open to working from home. They will create a space for themselves that they'll learn how to work from home and be able to have multiple areas and adjust to working from those areas. It doesn't necessarily mean a dedicated office or a work space that no one else is able to come into. I think you just realize what's best for you as a person. And I mean, we all use computers and our iPads and our phones, and I literally have all three with me at all times when I'm working from home. And you know, I think you learn how to multitask and adjust to working with other people around you too. I know before the pandemic or the stay-at-home thing, I did work from home for a couple of hours, but it was when no one was here. So having to work with other people in the home also has been a little bit hard for me, because then you have things you aren't expecting in the background.
Lots of distractions.
I agree with that. You know, I have kids and my children are a little bit older. They're high school age, so it's easier for me to explain to them what I'm doing and them kind of respect my boundaries and understand the scope of my boundaries and why I need that. But I could understand that having younger kids, it would be really challenging to try to remain professional and deal with little ones running around and keep the house looking decent so you have a space to work from. So I think those are all challenges. And so I do think that coming out of this, that more people will actually put a focus on the home office, because I think it's also giving kind of at the corporate level, it's giving the corporations really time to see how are employees working from home, what is the productivity, how does it, is it a negative, is it a positive? I've heard of a couple of my friends that are in creative fields saying it's the first time in a long time they're really having the time to be really creative. So their briefs coming out of this, their work coming out of this is actually a lot stronger because everything's just not as fast paced, and being in the office is great from a social aspect, but also takes up time, right? So you're stopping at the kitchen to grab a donut and coffee and you're talking to people, whereas at home it's can also be a little bit more focused. So I think it does give corporations and companies a chance to kind of assess and see if their office spaces or the way that they're conducting their business is needed, or can there be a shift, and can we give people a little bit more freedom and ability to work. And so I think the home office is going to be really important, because people are going to say, okay, if this is going to come back in fall, or we're going to have to deal with this in the future, which now it's more of a reality versus kind of on the TV scenario and a TV show. It's kind of like we're all really having to live this now. So I think going forward, it's more of a reality as you're kind of planning space in your home of how are you going to react as a family and as somebody that needs to keep income going and have that work in the space that you have. So I think home offices are going to get much more well equipped and probably dedicated. I would say a little bit more dedicated space so that you can close doors, that it's not just a study floating out there, and have the technology and things that make it convenient to work from home. So I think it's definitely going to have a focus on that. Yeah.
What materials do you see, or what products do you see gaining popularity or importance moving forward?
Do I start? All
Go
right.
for it.
Okay, materials, products. I mean, there's so many different things that are going to be more popular. I think the more touchless type items will be definitely more popular because people are going to be more aware of not touching things, or kind of reprogrammed at this point. Of course, all your faucets that have the capability of the non-touch feature would be nice. I think some of the toilets that flush themselves, bidets are a big thing. These are all things I have actually been using because I think I do have the exposure to them, and my clients do. But I think now people are going to think of it not as a luxury as much, but more of a everyday item. And I think that is going to be the biggest change. Not that these products weren't there. Thankfully, they have always been there. And also, you know, we've been, as designers or, you know, vendors, trying to show them that this is necessary. I think, you know, there's certain brands that have instant sanitizing. Those were things that we probably always took for granted and gave it to our clients without really explaining it before. Now we're probably explaining it, and they're probably going to be more informed because they're worried. So also in things in the tech business will be probably more voice activated.
Yeah.
So as far as you know, your buildings and your homes, a lot of commercial spaces were already doing all of this without us even realizing it. And now I think we'll definitely look for it and expect it as a standard. So that's what I think.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think a lot of the things that you see in commercial spaces already to mitigate kind of that transmission of bacteria and viruses are going to then come into the home. So automatic faucets will become a little bit more popular, and maybe even hand dryers or faucets with hand dryers built in. And then, of course, the washlet, the toilets, the bidets, the built-in, the seats with that built-in, that was already huge, I think. I mean, I saw year before last at KBIS and IBS, that was really popular. And then this last year at KBIS, it was everywhere. I mean, whereas it used to be just one or two companies that had that, I think most companies are offering an option for that now, or several options, or a seat option. So before, it used to be quite expensive, and you know, it was started at a certain price point. They're fairly effective seats now that you can add to existing toilets, and that you can use with battery operation, which wasn't really an option before. So you're seeing all of those kind of things come to the market, which I think will definitely flow into the house to make it easier, so we won't have like this toilet paper shortage and, you know, these things that nobody ever thought would ever come and to be, but that's what we're dealing with right now. So I think that will definitely trend into the home more, and you'll see that start to show up. And yeah, I think that'll, and maybe sound insulation in your home office too, and some ways that you
definitely.
Yeah.
All the different types of wallpapers that are out there that have sound in, you know, absorption in it, and we don't even realize it. It's out there. It's not like just the typical, you know, cork or a lot of other things that we see out there in theaters and things, or just fabric covered, you know, walls. There are definitely a lot of products out there that absorb sound that we could use easily in the residential space.
Yeah. I also think, you know, I used to love to cook, and then my kids were younger and I didn't really have time to enjoy cooking. It was more, so what am I making for dinner? And I have to think about this again tonight. So I think during this time, I've had a little bit more time where I wake up in the morning and I think about, okay, what am I going to make for a meal today? And so I'm enjoying the cooking process a little bit more, and my kitchen. And kind of the same thing, I'm enjoying my bathroom a little bit more, showering or taking baths or spending the time in there. So I think we'll see those segments grow as well, kind of people taking like maybe the sinks that are more integrated, and different features in the kitchen that will come up. That'll be interesting. I love the little glass cleaner from Delta Brizo, just something simple like that, that just makes the functionality of the kitchen just a little bit simpler, that when you're home cooking more, you're thinking about all these little things that you could have that would make it a little bit easier.
So you pretty much gave me the perfect segue to the last question, which is, have you seen an acceleration or expect to see an acceleration of the wellness trend due to COVID-19? I think you kind of touched somewhat on that in the bathroom as well. So I'll let you continue with that.
I think for sure. I mean, that's been on my radar. I practice meditation. I love that, and having a quiet space in my home that's dedicated for that, for myself or family members. I was kind of seeing that trend before. So I think this only intensifies that, because as we're living at home with more family members in a more, nonstop kind of way where you don't have a break, you're always there. You need these kind of spaces that are dedicated so that when you walk into that space, you feel you have that intention of meditation, or preparing a healthy meal for your family, or relaxing in a tub, or going into your home office and it's organized. So I do see wellness in continuing to grow, as far as kind of baths, your bathroom being your spa and your retreat. I'm not sure that people will ever totally move away from not going to a salon, or going to get their nails done, or going to get a pedicure, because we're humans, right? And we all crave that interaction. So we're always going to want that touch, or that luxury of having somebody take care of us for that little bit of time. But I do think that being home, people are seeing, okay, I'm using this space a lot, and so how can I make it a little bit more relaxing and feel good? So definitely see kind of the showers, and maybe bathtubs will come back a little bit more, because people won't be rushing as much if they're working from home a little bit more. They'll have time to take a bath. So yeah, I do see that increasing wellness for sure.
I agree with everything Ellie said. I mean, I see more of the aromatherapy and chromotherapy coming into, again, more popular and standard uses versus just as a luxury use, and more people asking for these type of things. I think that more people will be getting more things like tubs that have like air bubbles, or I think there was a few other types of like heat therapy in your tub, things that will make people relax at home. I think as a whole, wellness was becoming a really big thing globally. I know that it's canceled right now or rescheduled for August. They're going to have a huge conference, and I think the design world in general is focusing more towards that, and companies are also, and vendors are also going towards that. I think having a certain standard for this is becoming important, and people will see that because they had to stay inside for this long and have to adjust everything in their lives. And maybe they didn't think about it before, but they really have had the time to think about it now. Having that meditation space, like my formal living, which I do use quite a bit, also doubles as a meditation space for us. So people who come in there, I mean, they're always like, oh, it's so calming in here, along with, but you don't feel like you have to, sit there formally or so relaxed that you don't have one or the other. It easily converts. So I think a lot of places and spaces will be converting to multi-use for these type of things. Yeah, a big shift to wellness will happen.
One thing I've noticed too is I don't think I've talked to anybody yet that has not said I was doing too much. My schedule was too busy. I was traveling too much. So as a result, we're all home, and there's been some funny posts on Facebook and whatnot, but our gas bill is zero. Our travel bill is zero. Our eating out bill is almost next to nothing. So all this money we were spending on some unnecessary things is, using that money towards a budget to maybe make your home a nicer space, whether it's for your office or your bathroom or whatever. So that's been kind of the silver lining in this for my family. So
Yeah.
Good.
We had dinner last night. I think we sat down at 7 to eat, and the kids and I were still at the table at 10.
Oh my.
Chatting. Like, we chatted about so many different things. And Trevor, my partner, commented and said, wow, dinner lasted till 10. And I was like, I know. And I said, it's kind of lovely, because in a normal world, they probably would have had homework, because we would have gotten home late from soccer or volleyball or something, some school related thing. And not that I want those things to go away, but I am trying to see like the silver lining in this, like you said, Danelle, and what is that? And that's really spending time with my family and having time to make even connections like this that we're doing right now that normally maybe wouldn't happen, and getting to connect with those people that I don't normally get to connect with in a really strong, purposeful way, not just, hey, how are you? Okay, you're good, great, moving on. I have the time now to have a 15-minute conversation with somebody, or ask how they're really doing, and have the time to listen to them. And so it's kind of nice. Unfortunately, it had to happen this way. But I do think that, I think, however you get there. And hopefully on the other side of this, we're going to have strong, healthy relationships and be thinking about things a little bit differently. I don't think it'll ever go back to the way it was, like you said, as far as too much travel or too much go, or people are going to kind of assess. And that comes back to wellness, right? Because well-being of your mind and how you're organizing your life.
Find a healthy medium.
Yeah.
I agree.
Any final thoughts? Wrapped it up. Well, thank you for joining us today. And I don't know what else to say.
Yes, and it was really nice talking about these subjects, because I think everyone's thinking about them, but wanting to know if everyone else is on the same page and where to go from here.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
We had great feedback today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.